Welcome to Your Brand Amplified, the podcast where we interview marketers, publicists, and brands to learn their stories, what makes them tick, and tips and tricks that make a difference. This is long overdue, which we were saying before we jumped on, but I am super thrilled to be here with Shaily Hakimian, the social media Sherpa. So I love that your profile starts with, you started social media career before you even knew that it was a career and that's what you were doing on MySpace. I very much remember MySpace and Friendster and all the other platforms that came before Facebook. So let's get into that. And then I want to talk about what is a Sherpa and like all the things that you do to help business owners.
I love it. Well, yeah, high school. Here's my fun fact. I love reality competition shows like Big Brother and Survivor. Any odds that you watch? Probably not. No?
What?
Most people. Did you watch Big Brother and Survivor by chance?
I watched the last season of Survivor because, you know, Liz Wilcox?
Well, I just bought her course. Anyway,
Okay.
Shout out Liz Wilcox.
Yeah, so Liz was on my podcast a million years ago, and I'm a not very good affiliate for her.
Well, you are now, because I love her too. You can get all the affiliate from me telling everyone to get your link.
Right.
So find it, friends. Yeah, Liz Wilcox, amazing email marketer. I literally never knew she did this till after the show. And she was promoted where our lovely Podmatch that brought us together, So he runs this thing and he's like posting about Liz. And I was like, wait, he's not talking about her being on Survivor? Psh. So anyway, I love Survivor, love Big Brother. We had an online community that played online versions of these games, which I'm sure many people have never heard of before. I know, I'm a real nerd. So social nerd though, because it's all social competition. And so I wanted to bring our community together because we were like promoting it in fan pages, being like, come play our weird online games. And I was like, why don't we just get our own MySpace group? Managed it, led it as a 15-year-old. It was so darn good. Asked me how good. I had an old man compete with me with his own group. Like, it was like a gang war of like nerds.
Oh my God.
Like, Survivor. It was weird. Yeah, so I worked really hard at managing it. And it was the thing, and then I was applying for a job at a digital agency, and they asked on the application, like, have you ever managed online communities before? And I was like, that feels like something I've done. Why does that sound familiar? Now, this is years later. And all that MySpace stuff came right back up. And I was like, yes, I did. And I like may have vagued it up a little because it was awkward to be like, yeah, online to Big Brother. But eventually got the position. And then one thing led to another, got more social media work until eventually I was promoting myself to businesses. Being like, businesses, pay me to do your social media. I want money. Give it to me. And they're like, yeah, we don't have $1,000 a month to pay you to do it for us. But can we just like pay you to sit down and show us how it works? And I was like, yes, I can. So first client was like, help me with Instagram. And I was like, sure. And she's like, let me do it again. And you want to pay me again? That nice, crazy number right there? Okay. And then one thing led to another where all my work has been basically teaching social media and being your social media Sherpa to take you up the mountain of all the BS that is social media. Take away all the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm, all of it so that you can get stuff done and actually make the impact that you want to make and be empowered beyond social media because I am this energy and sometimes we need it. So here we are.
We all need you. We all need your energy in our corner. 100%.
Love it.
I love that you said that because it's one of those things where like as a marketer who does, you know, I've done brand, I've done PR, I've done this, I've done that. But when I talk to other people, I'm like, yeah, we're like the cobblers who have no shoes because we're so busy working for clients or doing these other things that we don't like. I don't even know the last time I posted on my Instagram, which I was just saying I followed yours, or, you know, social media. And I know that I need to, and I used to have all the things and then lots of people would comment and stuff. And then I've kind of just let it fall by the wayside because I just don't have time. And I know that's where you come in, right? And I also highly believe in, because I've had people on my podcast before. I had somebody who was an expert for SEO and ads and has been doing it since Google started. So I was like, can I just pay you to show me like the back end? Because I know how to do this stuff, but I want to know like really what am I missing or what do people miss when they try to do it themselves? What are the little tips and tricks? And so you are exactly what the world needs. So thank you.
Thank you. We've solved the world. Humankind, human peace, world peace. It's all through yourstreamingshopper.com. I will say to you, the thing about the cobblers, I'm bad with expressions. I'm a kid of immigrants. So I'm like, cobbler shoes, whatever. I always see that happening. Like I coach a bunch of marketers sometimes, or people in one of my clients' communities. And there's marketers who come in there and we're teaching them new marketing things. And it's like a whole new world for them. And I think the point that I realized over the years is that yeah, you might be a marketing expert, but your marketing expertise might be for a company that is not like yours, right? Yeah. If you are doing very premium SEO for $2,000 a month and you're like a few people working at your business, you don't need $2,000 a month SEO. Use your skills to your advantage but there's something more scaled back more to your level. And with a lot of perfectionism, there's a lot of women in this space, a lot of perfectionism. Like, you think, oh, well, if I'm not doing it to this standard, it's bad. I'm like, no. You have to simplify. Match good people with good information on a consistent basis. Gold. That's it. That's literally everything. And when you put out all the noise of like, oh, but you're supposed to do it this way, you're supposed to do it that way, it's all good. Focus on the thing that matters. And I know you've got an army because you've had 1.5 million people on this show, right? Like, you've gathered that army, a very engaged list of people that have been in this seat with you. So that's what I say. Use that first and don't feel like you have to go down the rabbit hole. But I will say pay people who do SEO, because SEO ain't sexy like social media. A million people can be like, I do social media. SEO, you got to like really care and be a little bit data-y and nerdy. So I just also paid someone last week in SEO. But I don't know where SEO is going. It's like a big mystery to me, but I appreciate it.
Let's talk about that. I mean, there's so much stuff we're going to talk about, and I know we're going to be tangents, but let's talk about that, because I know that SEO, like now people are doing, video SEO is really big. And if people use Amazon as a search, they use TikTok as a search. We also know that with social media, there's always, and this is also why I really appreciate an expert, because there are so many programs out there that say that they're going to teach us how to do things. And a lot of them might work for one person, but then we get overwhelmed by doing our own marketing. And so we need somebody who says, just simplify, like you said, and just do the X, Y, Z. But with that being said, AI. And also the fact that you've been doing this for so long, what changes do you see are really important for people to know? And what do you see as like the consistency that people need to just stick to?
Okay. So much of what I'm going to say, however long this call goes, I'll talk to you for days, is how to build it for your brain, right? I had various disabilities in my life. My brain works very differently than most people. You have to work for your brain, right? If you are an author who is a super introvert who wrote a whole book, and I'm like, you're not going to be the guy that does video because you're terrified. But you are somebody who can write short form little mini blogs because that's how your brain works. And then he did, right? You have to find the thing that works for you, and you have to stick to what you can commit to. Like you were saying, you're doing 3 episodes a week. I'm like, bless you. I'm trying to do a mini episode every 2 weeks for my little side podcast, and I'm like exhausted, but I'm like, bless you. If you can stick with that, if that's you go with it, but you have to find what works for your brain and what works for your skill set, and ideally mix in what works for your people. That's what I say. The AI thing, as somebody with, again, disabilities, there's an app called Letterly that has been a game changer. You record audio. So I'm more of a talker. You see, we're podcast people, right? I love it. I talk and I'm like, here's how I feel about blah, 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 blah. And then it magically puts it in a good format for LinkedIn and I post it. What?
Ooh.
It's great. Ah. I think it's wonderful. But then I have friends who like writing. We're like, oh yeah, we could tell it's AI. I'm like, you could tell? But I'm like, it feels like what I said. And I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
Steve, I love that because I definitely have the ADHD brain and maybe not the hyperactive part, but I am also doing a million things. I mean, we talked about this a little bit. I narrowed my focus, but it's still a lot of things within that focus. And I was writing a chapter of a book, one of those anthologies, right? Ooh, and I realized it was much easier for me to leave myself voice memos and then translate it and then turn it into, I love writing, but I don't have time to sit and write. So this sounds like amazing. And you know, another hack. There's a platform that I use. They're also a show sponsor called Simplified. Now they have AI. You can record your voice and then you can create your own, AI voice for whatever, for social, for the stuff. And so I'm trying that out right now too, as another little hack of like, I don't have time to just record all this content. So what else can I do? So I love that you said, work with like what's going to work for you, your personality, your, isms, all of that.
Yes, there is isms. And I will say, look, I'm looking at the site. I'm like, very interesting. Like anything that can take away the BS, the stress. Like I also do love it's not AI, but a text expander tool is fantastic. I use TextBlaze and it's fun. But there's a million of them. That's always good. But yeah, make it work for your brain. Yeah, I guess if your friends can tell that it's AI, give it to your assistant. Like my lovely lady in Australia or in the Netherlands. I'm like, what country? She's in the UK to go fluff it up, which is good. But you can't overly rely on it. And the other thing I tell a lot of clients is like, test, but do not get distracted because every one of these rabbit holes will take you away from your one job, which is give good information to the right people on a consistent basis. And a lot of people listening to this might already have a bucket of the right people in their LinkedIn connections, right? Most people are starting from zero. And if you're playing to the like magical unicorns that you've never met before, like it's a lot harder game than to build from there. To referrals or people who like, oh, I heard it in a show. I gotta go listen to that. Like that's very different than like finding you in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure people have though, because you have a big thing going. So good for you.
you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely putting focus on it now that it's become this thing. But I love it because I get to meet people. And that's why I do it 3 to 5 times a week, because I'm expanding my network. I'm meeting people that have the subject matter expertise that I don't have. And I'm getting those nuggets. And then I can take it back to my students or, use it for other stuff. And speaking of, you also were in education, and you actually graduated with a degree in education.
Mom, it's great.
So talk about that. Did you teach and then you decided to no?
Here's the thing.
Teaching, but
I teach adults now, right? I do miss kids. Teaching is a great thing to have in my pocket because most people who are in my field know nothing about teaching, and everyone's like, I'm a coach and I'm a consultant and I'm doing workshops. I'm like, you don't know nothing about how to teach. And I'm like, right, keep that in my pocket. But it's also a job that if everything went wrong in the world, I could get a job tomorrow, which is cool. And I haven't been that stuck, but I'm glad to know it's there. I didn't like the whole classroom stuff. Is that I'm a one-step person. So if the task is not more than one step, I get overwhelmed. And teaching is 500 steps to 500 different projects. And I'm like, that's not me. So I knew from the get-go, I'm great with kids, but not in a big classroom. And I eventually got into the online math tutoring world. And that was super cool. So that also paid some bills for a while as I was figuring out where I want to go with my life. Yeah. But over time now, your social media Sherpa has taken over everything. And I'm like, you know what? This is my current blessing. It's going to be great. It's been, 6 years. I don't know. So, but I use it, right? When I first told my first ever client that I was writing a lesson plan, she's like, oh, a lesson plan, that sounds so fancy. And it was a value add. And I was like, oh, no. But I love the one-on-one. I always do. I love the one-on-one. So the math tutoring makes sense. And I love hyping people up. And I love helping kids believe in themselves more than they ever realize, which actually is what I do for my clients too. Some of them is I'll pay you to come be running a LinkedIn booth at my conference every year. But really, I need a cheerleader. So I'm like, yes, cheerleading. Put it in the service. I got you. So, my fun.
So what do you recommend to people when they're starting their journey? Because, there are different philosophies. I know that you need to be where your audience is, but how do you know which kind of content is going to resonate? Because I've also heard one of my students at USC works for a company that advertises on Instagram, and Instagram's like, hey, if you do all of your ads on Reels, we'll give you a rebate and we'll pump it up more. So they started doing that and saw some more results, but that's not going to work, like you said, for everybody. It really depends on what your comfort level is.
What your comfort level is, what your way of producing stuff is, what's easiest for your brain. I don't want barriers. Here's the tip I tell business owners, but honestly, some of my clients who are at companies and have jobs, one thing that people miss consistently, and I'm going to shout out They Ask You Answer. And if you listen to their stuff, that's great. Okay, They Ask You Answer. So literally the title of their book and everything is basically answer every question that your person could ever anticipate. So if you're a membership organization, what are questions people have about your membership? If you are the guy who always uses a pool example, if you've got a pool situation, what are the options to consider? What makes the price more expensive? What makes the price cheaper? Answer as much as you can so you can take the guesswork. And that's literally what marketing is. I don't think people realize. They think, I got to do a marketing campaign because we grew up watching commercials. But no, it's just making information accessible. So when they do say, hey, I'm going to, work with you, you don't have to guess about what you're going to get. And so even if you have no website, no nothing, open a Google Doc, answer every FAQ you could ever think of. It doesn't have to look pretty. Even if you've done nothing, you can, I told this to a friend of mine who's she edits books, children's books or whatever. And I said, just put it on a Google Doc, and then that could be your fake website. Send it to people, and then they'll get all the intel about how to work with you. And it makes it a lot easier for them to say yes and pay whatever price you tell them to pay. So at a minimum, get that all out of your brain, and you can easily turn that into content down the line. That is the one step to start, and it's okay what it looks like. You can always tweak it later. You can always pick new formats, and that's how you keep it easy.
Yeah, I love that simplicity. Yeah, actually sharing with your potential market what you're solving for them.
Oh, yeah. People don't know how to think in terms of how other people think. And I think that's one of my friend Jonathan Pritchard, I'm a credible mentalist, but also he knows too much about design and marketing. Good for him. But he got that in my head 8 or 9 years ago. He's like, you have to think about what the other person wants. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, and I'm like, I know what you're talking, but it's not natural. So most people don't see it that way. When I tell career seekers, what do you have to bring to a company that is your special sauce? And they're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm just insert random buzzword after buzzword, generic. I'm like, no. Tell me that your coaching hockey is going to help you with your UX design with the experience of the website. I don't know, I'm making this up, but it's related to somebody I work with. And that's all you got to do. But it's so much harder than I think. Easier said than done.
Yeah. So what was it like when you finally had the aha moment of social media Sherpa and moved into full-time entrepreneurship and helping people figure out their secret sauce.
I love that you're like, you must have transitioned to full-time entrepreneurship. No, this is how I am. I've been like a hustler, side gigger. I've not ever had a normal 9-to-5 job. I somehow escaped that. So, but I've had my months of scrambling. You had to do a lot of suffering to get to like, oh, I'm sort of stable now. This is kind of great. Cool. But I will say the aha moment, well, first off is people being like, here, money, take it, go, do it. And I'm like, yes. And then also my mentor and my speaker coach, Catherine Johns, was like, I hate your current business name. And it was like your social media teacher or tutor or something. She's like, don't use education words. That's gross. And people think of school and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, Catherine. And I think somebody said this on one of your episodes. They're like, really, go immediately buy the oh, you even said it. You had some domains that you stocked up on that you may never use. I was like, screw it. I'm going to buy your socialmediasherpa.com. I bought it. And I put on my LinkedIn because it takes 2 seconds to change. I was like, let's just see what happens. Everywhere. I got Sherpa Scooter, Sherpa Mattress, Sherpa Accounting, Sherpa. And then I'm also hearing people, I love your business name. And I was like, cool, amazing. So I was like, fine, I'll just be the Sherpa. And like, here we are, your socialmediasherpa.com. It's really the guide. And I also got the trademark, so nobody can mess with me now because the competitive name when there's similar companies out there, but we are in different markets. So yay to that.
Yes, big yay to that. That is something
Lock it in.
Everybody should do. Yeah.
Yes. It's worth the investment. It's a little scary when you first do it, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Less headache down the line. And it's fun to say I have a trademark.
Yep. I have a trademark. Yeah, Your Brand Amplified is also registered trademark. So
amazing.
It helps immensely. And then, I love it because it also helps with like use it. You have the trademark, then you have more SEO. And then other people who have similar websites give up their websites, or somebody else owned yourbrangamplified.com. And it went to like some marketing company in Australia, and I was able to get it, pay it, buy it from them or whatever, because it wasn't any value to them anymore because all the other stuff. So love.
There you go.
Okay. So you've talked a little bit about LinkedIn. I do teach grad students who are looking a lot of times for their next move. So you mentioned a couple little things, but what are some of the things that you most highly recommend when people are looking at how to amplify or boost their LinkedIn? And also I want to say, I saw that you were on a podcast with somebody and made them like go change their LinkedIn headline right away because it was not great.
Yeah, Profit First author Meg McCalloway.
Yes.
And he changed it back. I was like, you moron, what is this? Like, come on. But maybe, look, he's got access to all sorts of other famous people to tell him what to do. So maybe there's a reason. I always say, look, somebody in your industry says something otherwise, like, go for it. But, like, make it, basically, this is what I'm saying for your grad students, make it easier for people to understand what the heck it is that you do and what you bring to the table. Especially if they're career switchers. Like, give me the context. Give me the narrative. It's exactly what I said to, like, make that FAQ page. What is, like, the FAQ that people have when they're looking at you? Do you have a gap? Did you switch around? Did you have lots of different jobs? Did you raise a child? Whatever. Like, you have free interview space on your profile to explain yourself and why the heck you're of value to somebody. It doesn't have to be super targeted if you don't know how to think niche-y or whatever, but that's as simple as it needs to be. The other thing I'll say is the first few lines of everything matter the most. So when you hook people with your about section, the first few lines, if they're not interesting, I'm not going to read more. So if it's some generic hubbub, I don't care. I'm not going to read it. I told this to a friend who wants to get a job as like a B2B writer. And I was like, girl, you have so much more space on your about section. If you want them to see your writing, force them to see your writing because they're going to look there. Give them something to indulge on. One of the best moments came a few days ago. I was thanking someone for congratulating me on a birthday or whatever. And I was on Facebook. I was like, oh yeah, thanks for wishing me happy birthday. She's like, oh my gosh, Shaily, it's so good to hear from you. Like, I've been watching your LinkedIn for so long and your LinkedIn is literally why I got a new job. And I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, just from your content alone on LinkedIn. And I was like, really? She's like, I left a toxic job and now I'm feeling so much better. And I followed everything you said. And I was like, oh, like to my ears. And I felt so proud.
I love
that.
I'm
here to help people. And then the people that need the most amount of my help, they become a premium client. That's great.
Yeah.
But it's here to help people. That's why I give away so much so they don't have to feel stressed about it. That's what I would say to grad students, right? Fill in the gaps for people. Explain yourself at a minimum and make it hooky. The first few lines hooky, whether it's your headline, your about section, your descriptions of work. Just FAQ the F out of it.
Yeah. Well, and one thing, okay, so I feel like a lot of roles nowadays, people look for specialists in marketing, but we need generalists because you have to know a little bit about how do you make a piece of content convert, whether it's on a blog or on social media or in your newsletter. But obviously with what you do, it's very specialized. And you're the kind of role that we need more niched. But that if somebody is going into a corporation, maybe they need to know a little bit about a lot of things, at least to talk to those other team members when they're running a campaign, right?
My favorite kinds of clients to work with is if they have team members and they're leading something and they have to be in charge of the marketing, is that like, they don't know how to talk to each other. It's exactly what you said. They don't know how to communicate in the same language. And it's like, oh yeah, go do social. And it's like, well, the social isn't working because you're not really telling me what our clients really want. Which if your sales team is not talking to your marketer, like it's a missed opportunity. And I have a background of like conflict resolution and getting people to debate, to educate, to learn stuff. Totally different world. But when I can pull that like passion project hobby of mine with the social media stuff, it's my favorite. It's not like the assistant and the leader are arguing or anything. They just don't get each other. And I just love being the intermediary and like being like, wait, your person, who's usually a young woman, is like, she has great ideas, but like you wouldn't even know how to appreciate them yet because you don't get it. And I'm like, but then you have all the leadership knowledge and they don't have all those ideas. Like, let's mix them together. And it's so rewarding. I love it so much.
I saw a new role. I don't know if it's new, but it's new to me. Data translator, who's that person that takes like what executives strategy, all of that part, and takes what the IT coders doing the AI stuff or doing operations and like helps them understand each other. And is the go-between. So that sounds exactly like what you do with social with team members. I love that.
It's great. I always tell my tech nerds, like, I have a tech nerd boyfriend. I was like, look, the more you can speak to the muggles, like the better. Because most tech nerds, they don't know how to do that. Actually, his friends are actually pretty good at it, which is why they have good gigs. But that is gold. Translating information, amazing. So even though you said some people might not have like a niche of some sort, being able to translate, even saying like, hey, I'm the person that translates this mess to something better, you can still be a generalist, but how you approach that is better. How you make the main leadership feel better about themselves could be an angle that you do. It could be how you solve the problem. It could be the same skill, but it's changing it. I always love to tell, I have a bunch of B2B consultants I teach on behalf of one of my clients, and I always tell them this, it's like, you are premium. You are not a commodity anymore. You are not a $500 an hour person anymore, which is great. You take it if you get it, fine, whatever. But your job is that you are taking people from start to finish on whatever problem you solve.
Nice.
And that's much more valuable than like, I'm just a marketer and I'm just an SEO person and I'm just a blah, blah, blah. Well, no, I'm an SEO person that takes away your anxiety and stress and makes it simple so you don't have to worry about what I should be doing and how I should be doing it. That is a very different angle.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm sure you can do it way better than me.
No, that was so much. That was very clear. I love it. This is going to be the episode where I'm like, oh, I said I love it like a million times. Because
I'm honored.
I'm like, yes.
You're wonderful. I'm
Okay. So when you work with a client, whether it's a business and a solopreneur, what are the first steps that you take them through to figure out what platforms they should be on, how they should express themselves?
I don't even touch that yet. That is not even close to the first place where I start. The first thing I do is my friend told me not to use the word stock, but like, what do? I overview everything.
Their competitive. Yeah. You assess their.
I assess everything.
Yeah.
Now, some people, it's a marketing audit. I'm like, look, everything I create is based on like what I see. It's not because someone said marketing audits are a thing. I was like, I need to figure out what the heck they have going on. So they pay me for the first month, the first experience. I can just do this alone. I look at everything and I make little videos of everything I find of them on social media, the hidden, the things they tell me about, everything. And I just tell them how I'm feeling about all of it. But at the end of it, I know pretty clearly what are like the 3 big things that we're going to work on. A lot of times it's that there's no flow between, this is great, we're going to shout Liz Wilcox, I'm sure, flow between your email marketing, your social media, and maybe a lead magnet. There's a missing piece there. Like there's no direction, right? I had this with a client. We have a relationship kit on behalf of a nonprofit domestic violence agency. And like, there was no place to engage people when they weren't yet ready to jump into the program. And I was like, I don't know, we need email marketing. I've been working with her for like a year. I'm like, get it done, accountability, go, go, go. But it's like so for her, that's one of the big problems she has. For another client I have, she's a UX agency, consultancy of sorts. And she had no FAQ pages on her website, but she had all these like, here's the kind of services I do. But I'm like, there's no explanation about how to work with her. And I'm like, girl, we gotta like connect the dots here. You're killing me. And some of her content was just like, it's ice cream day. And I'm like, I don't care that it's ice cream day. Tell me how you're going to change these companies' lives with the UX research that you're going to do. And once she did that, I posted that on LinkedIn this week. It's like she blew up the first 2 posts that she finally shifted to that direction.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I don't tell you around like pretty viral to their network, but like, here we are. Like, it works. Great. So I pick those things out and then I send it back to my clients.
Nice.
They can read it. I tell them, don't talk to me for 2 or 3 weeks. I want you to because your brain is like on purpose. I tell them you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to hate me. And I'm like, don't do anything unless it's something stupid that you can fix right now. Do not touch it. And then we talk afterwards and then we decompress. And then they're like, okay, I kind of see where you're going. Let's get the work done. Because all the stuff that I do, there's no guesswork. It's not like I'm going to promise you all of the worlds of success. No, if you have a great network, you have a great population of people, and maybe you have a platform on it. A lot of my people are on LinkedIn, not all of them. If you have a great list, we can do something about it because most people are neglecting it. And I just have to not neglect it and not neglect it well, and good things happen. And that's it. So I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything.
Yeah.
You believe in all these things, we can make it great for you.
Nice.
And that's what happens.
Yeah. A little magic.
It's magic, but it's also very normal. It's very practical.
Yeah.
I think because I don't want anyone to guess. I'm not here to, the kid with lots of bullying trauma or whatever the heck. I'm not here to convince anybody to like me.
Yeah.
Because some kids just didn't like me, and that's fine. But my people, when they know what they need, they're like, Shaily, you're my person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go right now. And I'm like, great, let's go.
And do you work on all social media platforms?
This is kind of. So everything I teach can blast for every platform that exists. And every platform that hasn't even been made yet, which I heard they're probably not going to make a lot of new ones. That era is over. But I had a client come to me and he's like, I'm on Mastodon. And this is before the public knew anything about Mastodon. It was you had to be a tech nerd or something. And I was like, what's Mastodon? And look, it kind of looked like Twitter, and it's just a different place, right? My dad, I always tell the story that my dad's a WhatsApp influencer, right? People don't think of WhatsApp as a social media platform, but that's where his bucket of 200 people are that pay him an annual membership fee. That sounds like a pretty good deal, right? Amazing. It all depends. Some people, I met somebody who was a truck driver recruiter, and she's like, we do everything via text. And I'm like, well, what if you gave them a tip every single week about trucking, and then you became their favorite person to work for? That should be so easy. Right? It doesn't matter. It just where you get people or where you can move people, and then where you can feed them consistently with a format that is hopefully one you don't hate.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 questions. One is a lot of people post the same exact content on every platform, which LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, it's the same exact thing. How do you feel about that?
It's a lot of work. If you're Coca-Cola, yes, you better do it.
Yeah.
If you're a small person doing small things, meh. And look, if you're doing it as a throwaway post, fine. If you're very aware that it's not going to do anything for you if you don't shift it a little bit, fine. I probably imagine that a lot of your guests have said pick your favorites and stick with it, or pick a couple maybe and stick with it, because you don't want to overly distract yourself. Because the amount of admin that you have to do to complete that is endless. Unless maybe there's an AI that'll make it easier. But yeah, you want to rock it at least at a couple. But, passively I've uploaded some of my LinkedIn videos to YouTube, and I had my assistant schedule a bunch out that I hadn't scheduled. And it did give me an uptick to have those go out every 2 weeks. Is that my favorite? But I hate the admin, which is probably why I stopped doing social media management. And they're like, can you just do my social media? I'm like, you don't want to do your social media. You want somebody that you've picked, that you love and trust, who gets you. And I can train them to do your social media because you can keep them for long term.
Yeah.
And it's much better.
All right. Second question. What does your dad do to be a WhatsApp influencer who people pay a membership fee to?
Okay, so this is wild. So he is a jeweler. He's been in the jewelry business for 40 years, maybe more than 40 years. And he has tons of relationships of people that trust him. And in the jewelry business, it's here's a $50,000 bracelet. Here, go borrow it from me. That's a very normal thing that happens.
Oh my gosh.
And it happens because of trust. It's such a trust-based business, which honestly, every real business and every good business person is probably in a trust-based field, honestly. And he had all these relationships with people that he could just buy and sell from. And he said, you know what? I'm going to put them all in a chat room. So he has 200 very, very, very vetted jewelers from around the world to buy and sell from each other, which means that they're basically, he's saying that if someone's in this chat, they're not going to screw you over. So you can sell that $50,000 bracelet by a picture in a little auction in the chat, and it's fine because that person isn't going to screw you because my dad has told you that they're not a bad person. Wow. It's all about who you know. And so here's the thing. It's also provided a lot of people an income. I remember there was a young guy that was trying to start in the business, and my dad threw him in the chat room, and he said that it completely changed his life, his career, his income. And I guess it was at a wedding, and he wanted to kiss my dad's hand or something and tell him thank you. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so it can change people's lives, but it also it kind of gave away all of his value because now all of his people know each other. But he throws parties every year for them, and it's like really cute. And I hopefully it's given him more than it's given. I hope it's given him a lot.
Yeah.
But it's really cute, and he loves it. And he made like T-shirts and stuff, and it's like very cute. It's like a little club, but like a lot. Like imagine like old like people who traded baseball cards. It's like if the baseball cards were like the price of your house, and like they're just like all day long, and it's like that would probably stress out a lot of marketers to do that.
But how cool, and that he has found this, been able to do this on WhatsApp.
Contacts. Like on WhatsApp, yes. And that's the platform they love.
Yeah.
Hard-earned relationships. That's the only guarantee I can give someone. If you have hard-earned relationships, you can do something with them. I can't tell you how you can get a million people out of nowhere, but even the people that get a million people out of nowhere, if they don't know how to like make people feel like they care, it doesn't matter. You can have thousands of people on your account and not get anything.
100%. So that actually leads perfectly in my next question, which was, so I have my Instagram that built up a lot when I lived in Houston and I was more in the social scene. I was doing a lot of fashion events and a lot of art stuff. And I had a social club and I had a radio show and I did a lot of fundraisers and stuff like that.
Oh, like, you're like a hero. Amazing.
No. But, and when I moved to LA, I was doing a lot of like fitness photos and like things because I was like, what am I, I'm going to start a PR firm, or do that now, which is something I used to do, but I need time to build it up. And then I shifted it a couple times to be more about PR and whatever. But I think I'm trying to still figure out like, what's the sweet spot of switching over, still being my personal account, which talks about me as a whole person, single mom. I love doing this. I love doing that, traveling, but then also incorporating my business into it. Or do you think those have to be separate? Because I have like a podcast, social media, but I mostly just put reels on it. I don't really do a lot more. So I'm imagining this is a question that you get from some of your clients.
It hasn't been a huge one lately, but it has come up in the past. And I'm like, don't give yourself more work if you don't need to. But also, like, if you're promoting your business on your like regular Facebook page, it can be really awkward if you don't have like a good context to it.
Yeah.
It's hard. I will give you my favorite life inspiration, Saya Hillman, Mac and Cheese Productions. She is my hero. And she is like, I merge everything. And she's part of why I wanted to run my work the way that I did. But then I realized for me, I'm like, if I am your social media Sherpa and I have math tutoring and I sometimes like to do magic occasionally and I sometimes like to do live streaming at events and sometimes like to MC, it's like, is she good at everything? And I'm like, I am not her. And I could not double down on it, at least not yet. But she's always like, put them together. And I'm like, well, but I thought about it, right? I got some domains of like your social media Sherpa on a bunch of platforms, but I'm like, this is not my battle. But I use my personal brand as a showcase page for my work. So if you want to find out about business or babies, my podcast about navigating whether or not to have children, which I'm sure you have lots of thoughts on, I will plug that. And you can find it, but that's not what I'm pushing right now. But it's something that I do for fun. So look, I know I need my brand to bring me money and it's not just like life satisfaction. So it's tricky and it might have to be a case-by-case basis. But if you're trying to personally maintain multiple accounts, like I had a guy who was a magician and an actor and I'm like, those are kind of similar. And I'm like, why are you putting in so much work? If you made it just you, it's probably not as bad. And there's some overlap there. It's just save yourself exhaustion, but also like maybe talk to your therapist because I think there's a lot of emotions in there too. Some perfectionism that I'm sure I've tackled. But yeah, mine are separate-ish, but I'm this all the time. So go to ShailyHakimian.com. You'll see a whole other side of me. But I push people to your social media Sherpa.com because money, business, opportunity, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
But don't be scared to be you. If you feel like that's the easy way and it's part of who you are, go for it.
Nice.
Feel it out. It's case by case. But Mac and Cheese Productions, Saya Hillman, my hero. She's a great example of this. So
yeah. Yeah, I think that's something, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you've done different businesses, I love the way one person, she's like, you're always innovating. And I was like, that is such a nice way of saying that I am always doing different businesses every time you talk to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe there's a thread. I think there's always a thread between a lot of different things. Like my friend Jonathan Pritchard every week has like a new brand. And I'm like, he's very good at making, it'd be interesting for the show actually. He's very quick about making new brands like overnight. He's like, I'm doing this now, I'm doing that now. I'm like, John, we just stick to something. You're such a genius. Like, stop it. But like, it's tricky, but I hope you find the thread of what brings all of that together. That's sometimes my favorite thing.
Yeah, I definitely have threads that bring it together. I just haven't done a good job of like sitting and living in that, right? Which is also something that you help your clients do because you give them, here's what I found. Let's take a couple weeks and then come back to me and we'll have the conversation. Because I think sometimes we forget to do that too. We're always busy in the doing of things. We forget to like just, all right, let me just take a few hours and just really evaluate and see how I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes, but here's a caveat is like I always think to myself, if I started a business today and I, started from fresh, like what would I do? And one of the things I'm going to shout out Noah Kagan of AppSumo. He just also had a $1 million weekend. It sounds way cheesier than it is. It's very good. And it's one of those business books where it's like, it really spells out where to start in the simplest way. And yeah, you can sit there and you can spend months, days, years mulling of like, what's the right move? And what's this? And he's like, F all of that. He says this. He's like, go to Google and go to the trends and see if people are Googling the thing that you want. He says, go try to sell that thing to 10 people and just get like the first $50 a person. Right. And see if people like it. Right. And I was more like, I like doing social media teaching. And like, let me just do that. And like, eventually, like I morphed myself into a market. But like, if I would have tested things out early on, I probably would have saved myself a lot of suffering. But I think that's something that people need to do more of is like, let the data dictate before you spend forever thinking. Because thinking isn't starting. Starting is trying something. Yeah. Taking actions is huge. I like think of Liz Folison on LinkedIn. She has those really fun graphics and she's like, stop overthinking, like just start doing and moving and not just be sporadic about it. And it's true. So I'm going to bless Noah Kagan on that because you can even test something like, would you pay me, $500 to do a PR audit, whatever, like try it, see if people want it and see if you even like doing it. Right. I paid people for like being a cheerleader for people, just generic cheerleading, not attached to my Sherpa business. And I was like, this is fun. But I'm like, this is too generic. And I don't know if I want to do it just by itself. I even threw it on like a platform where people could just like buy little bite-sized services. And I was like, let's see if I like it. And sometimes I didn't. And I was like, great, let's move on. Yeah. And if they like it, keep testing. So hopefully you'll test something before you overthink something. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more of the like, just let me just start the thing and then I'll figure it out later. So, it has its good and its bad. But okay, you have a podcast.
I do. It's like a secret.
Our babies.
It's fun.
Yeah, so talk to us about that. You mentioned it a little bit, but I want to hear more.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm 33 years old. I've had a long-term boyfriend. I debated fertility a few years ago just to see, because like usually this is like kind of anxious time, and I may have done some things to help me be less anxious about it. But I also think to myself that like it is kind of complicated in the world we live in to be a woman and to be raising children. And like, there's a lot of disadvantages that come with it. Not everyone has a partner. Not everyone needs a partner. People have multiple partners. Sometimes there's no mom. Sometimes there's a dad and there's two dads, whatever. There's a million different ways that the family could be. And I just felt like, could I run a business and do this baby thing? And is this really what I want? And I wanted to be able to say, yes, this is what I really, really want and know why. Yeah. Because I think societally, it's like, just do it. And I'm like, no, I should research this because I don't think I'm the only one that has that question. Right. And there's so many people, kids, no kids, or whatever, that have opinions on this. And I had some single parents mention some things, but that's a whole can of worms too. So I want to just learn from people and see what their perspective is. And I have thought so much more about it. And I'm going to caveat, I'm just my own accountability. For the first time ever, I've not stayed accountable to my consistency, which never, ever happens. But at the same time too, is it my business? No, it's a passion project. And I'm going to announce and be like, sorry, people, it happened because my life happens. But with LinkedIn, I'm consistent for 5 years. So
nice.
That brings in the money. So I'm like, it's okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's my question. I'm pondering it and I've learned a lot. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, happy to talk to you about that separately anytime you want. So I am a single mom.
Love it.
And I have lots of thoughts. So
we'll get this. Anybody can technically record, try to be on the show.
Oh, I love it.
I have asynchronous interviews. So I have go-to questions. And so let's say you're a busy single mom and you only have 2 a.m. to like do any sort of anything. You can now theoretically schedule me at 2 a.m. via robot.
Love that. Love that.
Very single mom accessible, but I don't know how you still do 3 episodes a week. Bless you. So I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You're killing it. You're working hard.
I stock them up when I have time to record. This summer it's going to be interesting. We'll see if it sticks to 3. And I was releasing 5. But then I said, okay, for summer, that's not going to work.
You live your life. You space them out too.
This is
your show.
It's a big part of my income stream and like why people want to work with me or pay me to do things, So yeah.
If
it was a hobby, It was a hobby. So,
And you made it a business. That's a one-on-one episode with yourself. Like, how do you go from hobby to business?
Yeah.
If you haven't done it yet. Or blog.
It's the backbone of a new program that I'm launching. So.
Are you going to tell people or is it a secret? Is there like a launch? What's happening? Coming soon?
Well, I'm still working on the working name with the team. I'm meeting them Friday. I think we've settled on the name and the logo, but it's basically going to be like, take the tens of thousands of dollars and the years I've spent either having a radio show or podcasting, pitching people for podcasts in the PR side, getting pitches as a guest, and shorten that into going from, ideation to inception, production, and knowing how to monetize in 4 months.
For a podcast.
For a podcast.
It's like magical podcast production perfected.
Yes, but like going through everything I know about brand, about PR, about integrated marketing strategies, about how you set it up as a business. Do you need a trademark? Is it its own business or is it part of another brand? What are the avenues that you can use for monetization? How are you a good guest? And then, how do you make a good guest experience? So so it's a little different, I think, than what's out there because I'm really looking at it from like as a marketer, and I want people who are like going to be consistent and serious and like commit, right? Because I always say, it's omni-channel marketing, like between podcasting and AI and social. I mean, people are selling on social. We're not going to need websites. People are going to be either doing stuff through apps or social media pretty soon, fully. I mean, so
that's interesting. So you heard it here, everybody, all the listeners, something is coming. And if you want to be the pre-beta tester, you could probably poke her to be like, hey, I want to get on this on the ground floor. Let me tell you what I think.
See, you are such a cheerleader. Like to pull that, like, yeah, for me to be talking about my own stuff on my show, I don't usually do that. I love like
you should. It's not promoting you, right? You're doing it for I know you have advertisers, right? You be it to them, but you also got to say things about yourself, but also you're showcasing your genius by your thoughtful questions, right? That you should glean benefit from this. You should plug, hey, I offer this, and look, you should. You earned it. I think Liz Wilcox would tell you the same thing.
Yeah,
she would be like, look, this is your thing. What did she tell? She had like a live stream the other day, and she's like selling things is also a value, and like plugging them is also a value. So. Because that helps somebody, right? And like what you're talking about is super needed because also most people don't know anything about PR. Like PR people get social media people, but social media people don't usually get PR. And I'm like, oh good, PR is like such a magical machine. So for you to do that and combine it with podcasting and combine it with the $10,000 things you did, like that is a huge value add. And I think people who want to do it, they don't need to like try to reinvent the wheel. They can just call you.
I need to have a conversation with you every morning just to be my hype woman. This is amazing.
If that's a real thing, friends, if anybody listening wants a version of that, I almost did it like 2 months ago. I'm like, what if I did 20-minute call every morning and then people could just like sign up to like just be like, do it. Is that a thing? As I know there's something with my personal brand. It's just
there are a lot of groups. Like there's one. Well, I'll find some names, but there's one group that like it's a 21-day like. Every morning you get on Zoom with this group of people and hype each other up. And then there's an app component and a Slack channel. And you just like, yeah. So that you could definitely monetize that 100%. No question.
I know there's something there, but I'm like, what battle? I always say,
even give like a social media tip of the day or like, here's my thought for whatever,
I did buy something like that from someone who's like some sort of sales coach. He's like, here's my one thing every day to make you feel good for 21 days. And 2021. Yeah. I will say, I'm always trying to do the math of like the pain to profit ratio. Like how much pain is this going to cause me to set up? And is it going to be worth it? And there's like all these great ideas. I'm like, events, sometimes not worth it unless I do something really crazy. And it's like, if you do it, I'm like, that's not worth the pain. But if I did a few people over at my house and I serve some pasta, I'm like, nah, that's kind of worth it. I'll do that. That's much easier. So it's on my mind, but I'll keep it in there because people do love my hype in. So
yeah, I am a big fan. So
thrilled. I'm saying you. I knew this would be worth the wait. So I
know. You know what? Every single one of your emails when we had to reschedule was like, it's okay. I got you, sis. Like, I love that. And I love that energy. And we just need more of that in the world. So thank you.
We do. But also we need people to communicate, right? I've been a guest on so many podcasts where people just like don't say anything. They just disappear. And I'm like, I blocked my calendar and then you say nothing?
Really?
And you're like, oops, JK. And I'm like, we're professionals here.
Yeah.
And, you're obviously, it shows that you know what's up and you try and you care and it's amazing. But also, too, like, I'll tell you one of the things that's really great. When we talked in like November about rescheduling, I had lost a family member and part of me is like, no, we scheduled this so many months ago. And, part of me is like in that sickness of America where it's like, oh, you have to work all the time. Like, fine, squeeze it in after the Shiva and like go do the podcast. And you're like, no, don't do that. And it's good. And even I think you weren't feeling good. And it's like, you know what? You want to put yourself in the place to succeed. And I think, especially with women, we need to like not be sucked into this BS capitalistic.
Yes.
Too much. world.
100%.
So you are a great model of that.
Oh, thank you.
Both to me and probably all of your clients as well. You're being a real person, and you're adapting to your needs. And also batching content is also very much respecting your ups and downs of energy too. So good for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if somebody goes to your website and they can get a lot of freebies, but if somebody work with you, what's the process? Do they schedule a discovery call?
Yeah, they schedule a call. And if you're not a good fit before the call, I'll cancel it and I'll just send you my other good free stuff that's targeted to you. Because everyone leaves with basically so much coaching for me. It just doesn't have to be with me live. And it's okay. Not everyone's right for me. I will say the best way to start to figure out if I'm your genius is that, I do a video review for people, hire me, and it's a better word than stalking. I look at everything they got. But I also do a generic version of it where I teach you everything in 25 minutes. It's this whole match the right eyeballs to the right people on a consistent basis. It's in 25-minute videos. You don't have to give me your email. It's on my YouTube channel if you want it. Gosh. What?
I said, oh my gosh.
It's free. It's right there. And then you can also get it as a text document. You can get it as a podcast audio. You can get it as a course. It's the same information, but just I'm all about adapting different brains.
Oh, yes.
So if you go to my website, there's resources. It's empowered in 25 minutes. That's usually the first step. I make anybody who wants to get on a call with me, you have to watch that first. That might change your life and you can do it on your own, but that also might realize, yes, I want you to hold my hand to do this with me.
Yeah.
And those are my people. If they're not, it's okay. People are still going to get so much love from me by following me on LinkedIn. But yeah, yoursocialmediasherpa.com. You can get empowered in 25 minutes, or you can go to YouTube and it'll just take away all the noise for marketing. Make you feel better.
Love it. All right. Shaily, what is your favorite, if you had to choose one, quote, mantra, words of wisdom, family motto, verse, song?
I love to end with my favorite quote. Yeah, I didn't write this, but I love this. I wish I did. Social media is about the people, not about your business. Provide for the people, and the people will provide for you.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah. That is such a thing. And that's something I think people forget. So thank you for ending on that.
Human.
Yeah.
Be human. Secret to everything.
Fantastic. Well, this has been such a lively, fun conversation. This is the beginning. Now that we finally met. So excited. Perfect. So, yeah.
Thanks to those who wait. And this is a good thing.
Exactly. This is one of those conversations that I love for everybody who's watching and listening, and for you, because I love it when it just feels like I'm talking to a friend and we're having a conversation and we mix in some of the stuff about marketing, but the energy is just amazing. And I'm really excited to go through the rest of my week because now I have this yes. So thank you for bringing that to Your Brand Amplified.
Thank you. I feel very amplified myself as well. Thank you very much. We made it.
And I hope everybody who's watching and listening to this episode also feels very amplified. You know how to reach us. I will also have everything in the show notes, and I'll be back again with another expert in a couple days. Want more? Check out amplifywithannika.com or follow me on socials at amplifywithannika.